I think it was my brother that showed me Jeremiah 29. The verse that I'm quite conversant with, which many believers are conversant with, is Jeremiah 29:11, which said, "For I know the thoughts that I have towards you, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope." Some others versions will say to give you an expected end, the end that you desire, the end that you want. Jeremiah 29:11. But the weird thing is, Jeremiah 29:1 to Jeremiah 29:10 was scary. It talked about the people of God, the Zionists, being in Babylon. And God told them, you know what? Get married, have children, till the ground, eat the produce of the land. In fact, pray for Babylon, because if Babylon does not prosper, you won't prosper. So for Babylon to prosper, for you to prosper, pray that even this strange land will prosper. And he told them that they would be exiled there for 70 years. And that after 70 years, I will come back to pick you up. I'll come back to take you out of this strange land and then fulfill my wishes. That means in the strange land, some people probably died, thinking God will show up. But God had gone beforehand to warn them through the prophet Jeremiah that don't worry your head. This is not what prayer can solve. You are going to be here for 70 years. And that's pretty scary. That is scary. He told Abraham the same thing, that his descendants would be in captivity for 400 years. I'm saying this to encourage anybody who has prayed and fasted and worked hard and is wondering, what is the problem? Am I cursed? Sometimes you're not the problem. Sometimes it's not your family that's the problem. Sometimes God is just putting you in that state. And it's not just to know God. Many of us know God. When I mean know God, we grew up in Christian or Islamic homes, right, and we were taught God. But we also must understand his ways. We must understand his peculiarities. We must also understand that there are mysteries to him. He is an enigmatic being, a being that we cannot fully understand. You might wonder, why is the same God that prophesied great things in Deuteronomy 28 also telling his people, the Israelites, that you know what, you're going to be here for 70 years. The same God that saved Jehoshaphat in 2 Chronicles chapter 20, when 3 kingdoms were trying to overthrow him. And now he's saying that you are going to be in Babylon. Babylon is not a good place. Babylon is a place where another God was worshipped. And God is saying, stay there. Be comfortable there. Marry there. Settle down there. I will come back after 70 years to save you. There are two stories I can't forget in a hurry. And when I remember them, I get sad. I remember a story of a guy in Lagos who parked his car in front of a church, was facing the church, took out a gun and shot himself in the head, and he died. Now, I'm not sure. I am assuming that when he stood in church, he recognized that there was God. He recognized that this thing I'm about to do, God is not happy with it, but he was overwhelmed with the challenges he was going through. So he probably mumbled in his heart, God forgive me for what I'm about to do, and shot the gun and took his life. There's also a story of a girl who was found dead in a toilet in an organization, and they saw a suicide note, and in the note she wrote it there that God should forgive her. So these two people recognize that there is a God in heaven, but they are just so overwhelmed with challenges. So it's not just enough to be Christian. It's not just enough to be Muslim. Recognize the fact that sometimes, and I'm sorry, this may go against what many of us have learned in churches. God does not show up all the time. Is he faithful? Yes. Is he wonderful? Yes. But sometimes he won't show up. If he could do it to the Israelites, he would do it to us. David made reference to it, I think in Psalms 126 or so. by the rivers of Babylon. There we sat down and there we wept when we remembered Zion, when we remembered the place, our rightful place, our inherited land. We remembered it. But we were exiled in Babylon. So we wept, we cried. All right, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? They were in a strange place. And God is saying, you know what, this strange place, absolutely no miracle will happen. In fact, he went on, go and read Jeremiah 29. He went on to say that if some prophets are telling you that I will come, they are lying to you. I am not coming for 70 years. So if you're in a tough spot right now, I've had mental breakdowns, so I know what it feels like. All right, to be overwhelmed, to look like, will there ever be a solution to my problems? I've also had conversations with people who have had very serious mental breakdowns, and sometimes I will have to put aside my own problem to minister to them. And by minister, I mean to counsel them, to tell them it's going to be okay. I remember a friend that would call me and tell me that she was exhausted with life. All right, I've had conversations with people who had considered taking their own lives. And I would still have to tell them, you know what, I don't know how, I don't have a solution for you, but just wait on God. So the point of this is, you know what, no matter how scary it is, no matter how bad things seem, all right, maybe you're struggling to feed, or your wife left you, or your husband abandoned you, and you have to struggle through life alone, or you're failing in your courses in the university, or father and mother, they have deserted you. No matter how bad things seem right now, just trust them. I don't know when. If I'm not having this conversation to tell you the solution is tonight. Pastors will speak, they will prophesy to your life, but the truth is, even they don't have the power, the ultimate power to change things. The Bible is filled with complexities. In one side, you're hearing great and dynamic promises of God. In the other hand, you're also seeing that, why is God not showing up? Why did God allow Sarah to become 90 before Isaac came? And you would think that because Isaac came, Isaac would have a smooth sail. No, Isaac still had to wait 20 years before he had Esau and Jacob. Isaac was 40 when he married Rebekah, but he was 60 when he had the twins, Esau and Jacob. All right, so people have waited on God in the Bible. David waited on God. David went through hell in the wilderness. It's not easy to kill a lion. It's not easy to kill a bear. It's not easy to be considered the runt of the litter, to be abandoned by your father. But he went through that. So there are times when you will pray, you will fast, and nothing will change. You will speak the word, you will confess, you will kabash. You will download messages from so many men of God, and you will use their blueprints, and nothing will happen to your life. I am here to tell you, like Jacob said, though he slay me, no, not Jacob, Job, I will trust in him. Between chapter 1 in the Bible of Job, where God gave Satan permission to try Job, and I think chapter 39, God was silent. The moment God gave Satan permission to go and try Job, God was silent. And Job said so many things. And when God was going to respond, I think in Psalm 39, 40, 41, he was describing his mightiness. He did not come to say, Job, I'm sorry I made you go through this. I'm sorry I allowed the devil to kill all your children. I'm sorry that the dogs were licking your boils. He didn't say that. He only came to Job to say, I am mighty. So the point is, if you take your life because of the challenges you're going through, God will still remain seated on the throne. All right? If you leave your marriage because of the crisis in it, God will still remain seated on the throne. If you tell God, I won't serve you again if you don't bless me, God will not be moved, because he did it to the Israelites. He did it to his son, Jesus Christ, his firstborn, his only begotten son. He was on the cross and God did absolutely nothing. There is something that I believe that is bigger than the word of God. And I'm not trying to be blasphemous here or heretical. And that is the will of God. The will of God is a mystery. Nobody fully understands it. If Satan knew that the way Jesus was going to save the world was that he would have to die, Satan would have done everything possible to make sure that Jesus did not die. But Satan was glad when Jesus died. Satan possessed Judas so that Jesus would be caught and Jesus would be killed. But he did not know that the death of Christ would bring about salvation. Do you understand? So God is a mystery. You are going through this now and you are wondering, why is it happening? I don't know. But one thing I can tell you is, go to the Bible, you will see people who went through the wilderness and God did absolutely nothing. So I'm here to encourage you. If you're in a waiting period right now, if things are not working, if you're scared, if you're pained, if you're having mental breakdown, if you're keeping yourself locked up in a room and weeping every day, rest assured God will show up. When I don't know, but find strength in Him and you will overcome. My name is Adefemi Davis and this is Ethos.